Dude, why is senior national politics correspondent Sahil Kapoor Moskowitz reacts after defeating his primary rival who had support from Hasan the Hunt? Rick Scott was right. Scared to death. They want you to have motion so bad. No, they want to eradicate the existing motion that I do have by consistently presenting me as like this super toxic force so that boomers that hear about me don't, boomers that hear about me get fucking terrified and shy away, so that any association that I have with a candidate is immediately met with a barrage of ads, barrage of attacks, so that candidates don't come anywhere near me because they stupidly think that my endorsement is the reason why candidates are taking an anti-Israel position, because they're fucking stupid. They like having a villain. They like having a prominent villain. But what they don't understand is, like, even the Angie Nixon race is a perfect example. Peggy Flanagan is a perfect example of the changes that are taking place in American politics. Like, these are people who desperately want that change. And as far as like Larkin or Manley, I mean, these are not candidates that would be able to get any. I mean, they got very little media attention. So they have to come to people like myself. They have to go on like breaking points and shit like that, right? That's just the reality. There's nothing, because like Jared Moskowitz has maxed out name recognition in the district, has a shit ton of money. A lot of outside expenditures were dumped into the Larkin race as well. Florida 6. Fox News did a Twitter thread on Larkin's loss. The contrast between the two candidates was stark. Larkin backed abolishing the Senate and had endorsements from far-left figures, including controversial streamer Hasan Piker. Moskowitz, a former Florida FEMA director appointed by Ron DeSantis. Dude, it is kind of wild that these guys like on Fox News are just glazing Moskowitz. Socialist down. DSA-backed Oliver Larkin falls to pro-Israel moderate Representative Jared Moskowitz. Like, pro-Israel politics really carries everything. It is kind of crazy. Like, it really does carry a lot of establishment Democrats politics. Like, they legitimately care more about this than anything else. It's kind of fucking wild. Not gloating, just surprised given the discourse on here. If your victory is dependent on 30,000 votes in fucking Boca Raton, you're fucked as Neera Tanden, okay? You are supposed to be the head of the most influential progressive think tank in the country, and you're excited that you're treating Jared Moskowitz with maxed out name recognition, with like millions of dollars of outside AIPAC money flowing into the fucking race in the weeks leading up to the fucking race as a phenomenal victory. Like, this is one of the most conservative Democrats in the country. Why are you this excited about this race?
Well,
wait,
counting stars.
Maybe our only choice is to stop participating in their society. I'll tell my kids to be adept at taking care of themselves, keep their skills high and taxable income low, buy protein from the farm, or hunt/fish.
Phillies at Saratoga this weekend.
What is going on, brother? They clearly cheated. They literally took away my votes.
Okay.
Another small sample, but Fishback won 89% of the vote in Florida State University precinct.
I think that.
Oh my God. The Republicans are so fucked, dude. They're so cooked. I guess it doesn't really, I mean, is it all that different from the current crop of talent that they have? I guess the only difference is like they're also anti-Jewish. They just added one additional marginalized group on top of it. You know what I mean? Fishback is going to shock the world tonight. He really did. He did shock me. I guess like the difference between Fishback and like an average Republican is that he's added one additional minority group to also hate. You know what I mean? Like, if you're the kind of guy, if you're the NBC chat hates you, oh, that's a bummer. I mean, that's not surprising. You only do things like that if you're like, if you just genuinely don't understand. Like, I don't take any of the victories for granted, okay? It's amazing that we got a single fucking socialist elected to any fucking office. It just doesn't make any sense to just be like, oh yeah, fuck you, dude. Francesca Hong lost. Is like, okay, like, yeah. So did plenty of other candidates that I endorsed. Two of the candidates that I endorsed lost tonight. Who cares? You know what I mean? It's just like, this is I don't think these guys understand. This is an insurgency, okay? I never expected to see this level of success. Why are you surprised election people hate DSA? I think by 2028, they will have a very different outlook on DSA. It will no longer be considered electoral poison at all. I think it'll be considered a benefit. But it's going to take time. We have to prove our legitimacy. You know what I mean? That's it. We have to prove our legitimacy. We have to prove that we can fight like hell. You keep trying to reason with people who don't believe anything, bro. It's just spite. I just don't understand. Especially because these guys sincerely think that I want either socialists to win or Republicans to win, which is not the case. And I've made that very clear. That's not me trying to be like, that's not me trying to be sweet. That's not me trying to like get in the good graces of the Democrats or anything. I don't give a fuck what the establishment Democrat thinks about me, right? I think it's projection from their perspective where they think like it's better for a Republican to win than a socialist to win. But from my perspective, I don't give a shit. If a Democrat is taking a seat from a Republican, I'm always going to be happy about that. Even if it's a Democrat I haven't endorsed, even if it's a Democrat that I don't particularly like. Even fucking Moskowitz, who's like the most pro-Israel, most right-wing Democrat, I'm sure that he's better than the fucking Republican, you know, even if he's like aligned with the Republican in like 90% of the issues, that 10% would still matter. And it's so interesting to me that these guys don't have that kind of mentality at all. They don't understand that I have like spent my entire life voting for dog shit Democrats over and over again. And it's an exciting moment to be able to boost candidates that I really like, candidates that I really believe in, even if they're going to lose. Cori Bush, her race didn't look too great from the start. I still endorsed her. I still fundraised for her. I still maxed out to her campaign, right? Because at the end of the day, my attitude on this is that I am a very pragmatic person. You admitting to voting for Hillary shut people up? I voted for Hillary. I endorsed Hillary. I voted for Joe Biden. I endorsed Joe Biden. So you're happy that a genocidal maniac is going to get elected next because they have a D next to his name? Did you not hear what I said? Like Jared Moskowitz and the fucking Republican have the exact same opinion on Israel. I'm saying that like overall, I'm never going to fucking endorse Jared Moskowitz. I'm never going to be in the tank for Jared Moskowitz. I don't give a fuck what happens. But if Jared Moskowitz wins his race, then I guess the 10% would probably be marginally better. It's the same with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, I did not endorse. But at the end of the day, if Kamala Harris defeated Donald Trump, the country would definitely be in a better place overall. Like, I don't know what you think this is. Thinking one is worse than the other and being happy about the victory of a genocidal figure are two very different things. I don't think you understand. I have no say in that race. I have no opinion on this race whatsoever. This is a guy who fucking despises me. He is a genocidal piece of shit. Okay? I'm still saying that even if he's 10% better than the Republican, it'll be better overall. That's it. It's out of my hands. I won't make the harm reduction voting narrative any longer. I won't push for the harm reduction argument. I won't be like, oh, guys, you got to go out and fucking vote for Jared Moskowitz. No, I'm not going to do that. The only reason why I would ever endorse Jared Moskowitz is to fuck with him. It seems like you've recently moved to a shifty Overton window left position rather than fuck all the politicians, bar a few. Yes, there's elections happening. So right now, we have an opportunity to change the makeup of the party. That doesn't mean that the party is good. That doesn't mean that the party is comprised of across the board anti-genocide voting candidates or anti-genocide voting elected representatives. So yes, win or lose, my attitude is running socialists in these races is ultimately a good thing. But ultimately, voting is not the end all be all. I've never said that. This string of DSA-backed victories, this primary cycle, has been incredible. There have been 10 flips on incumbents across the entire country. When people were talking about the Tea Party, They only flipped 4 incumbent seats. Only 4. So far, there's been 10. Okay? Angie Nixon, a DSA-er, outspoken pro-Palestine voice, notches an incredible, amazing upset despite Windman outraising her more than 16-1. I don't expect running a socialist in Florida to go well, but it's undeniable leftists are having a moment in the Dem primaries. I mean, this is like probably an impossible race, which makes it actually much more interesting for us. But again, win or lose, I mean, Bernie Sanders' 2016 electoral performance was what created the resurgence of the American socialist movement. Okay? So, yeah, focusing on these runs, focusing on these races, trying to get people who are actually responsive to the needs of the masses. You might not see the impact of that right now, but I think you'll feel it 10 years down the line. Okay? That's my argument. So my attitude on this is trust the process. You might think, oh, you're a sheepdog. You're fucking bullshit. You're a DNC operative or whatever, when you literally have DNC operatives trying to assassinate me at this point. Like, they recognize the fear. They recognize the quote unquote danger of the broad popularity of so many of these left flank candidates, these insurgent runs, the grassroots funded, exciting, dynamic candidates that are gaining national attention. You might not, weren't you black pill spiraling an hour or two ago? I was annoyed from the morning, but it has nothing to do with these. It has nothing to do with my expectation on these results. These races, I expected all 3 of them to lose, but Angie Nixon winning is a huge gift. But my point that I was making earlier is this, okay? For example, Abdul al-Sayed is not a socialist. He says he's a capitalist. He's not DSA affiliated. And yet I'm still in the tank for Abdul. You might be wondering, why the fuck's that the case? Like, I thought we were only pushing for socialists. Abdul is running in a state like Michigan. It's considered a swing state. I don't believe it's actually a swing state. But if Abdul gets the consolidated support of the establishment Democrats, who will bring in some of these independents, some of the more moderate voters, some of the more conservative voters, and Abdul himself, with his left populist campaign strategy, ends up bringing in low propensity voters, like activates them and gets them out to go out and vote, and actually pulls off a tremendous victory against Mike Rogers. Okay? That would prove that a socialist can win in a fucking swing state. That would prove that a socialist or a left populist broadly could win on values like Medicare for all and policies like Medicare for all, universal child care, increasing the minimum wage. They can win in spite of the tremendous amount of money being spent against them. The tremendous amount of money spent against them from the pro-Israel lobby. That is a huge victory for our movement, even if it's not a person from our movement directly. Do you understand that? That will have tremendous consequences. And many of you in here don't recognize that right now because, you know, what you see is what you get. A lot of you are younger, I think. Maybe some of you have only recently started paying attention to elections. I've been watching elections and offering commentary on elections for more than a decade at this point. I have a couple of these under my belt. I've seen a lot of defeats. And I've never actually felt this hopeful about American politics and the future of American politics until recently, because not only do we have fantastic candidates, but they're winning their races. And some of them that are already, mayors like Zoran Mamdani are already proving that they're a different kind of politician. We are already associating democratic socialism with good governance in a place like New York, which is, a matter of massive national attention, international attention, really. So there are events already set in motion that are going to have positive down ballot consequences, nationwide consequences for socialist electeds, and we've already seen those positive consequences. And you guys might not recognize this. You guys might not recognize this because your expectation is, oh, we got to get it now. And if we lose a race, then what the fuck was this all for? You know, we went out and door knocked. That kid that we saw earlier knocked on 3,000 doors. What was it worth for? Oh my God, Oliver Larkin lost or Elijah Manley lost. And here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing. We build on every single victory and we build on every single defeat. Every single failure is still a lesson. Okay? Still a very important lesson. So you might not recognize the importance of what's being built here, but our enemies do. Okay? It's not a fucking accident that every AIPAC-backed candidate, every pro-Israel candidate constantly has my name in their fucking mouths all the time. Democrats, Republicans, doesn't matter. Okay? Why do you think they're doing that? Why do you think they're doing that? They understand that we're not going away. They're foolish because they think, you know, I have anything to do with the fact that there is this level of animosity towards Israel, right? That they think that like, you know, candidates, I'm the kingmaker or I'm presenting myself as a kingmaker. I'm not. I've never have, right? But it doesn't matter. What matters is the reason why there's so much animosity towards DSA, so much animosity towards myself, is because they're fucking terrified. They are absolutely terrified. The establishment on the Democratic Party and the establishment on the Republican Party are abso-fucking-lutely terrified of this movement, a movement that places the interests of the working class over the interests of corporate profits. They do not want democracy. They want to continue subverting democracy to the best of their ability. And that's it. Anyway, being honest, I don't think either Vindman or Nixon would win, even though I really like Nixon. Rick Scott won by 13 points in 2024 and Rubio won by 16 in 2022, but I'm happy to see her win because it proves that left politics is possible in at least parts of red states. James Fishback has 100K less votes than has Twitter followers. Things can change between now and November. Things will change between now and November, okay? And not only will things change between now and November, what you have to remember is that the Republic policies are odious. The party is in shambles. Trump is unpopular. And not only that, but also Florida is a very interesting state. Last time Florida was won was Barack Obama. And Barack Obama won the Cuban vote. But which Cuban vote did Barack Obama win? How did Barack Obama win the Cuban vote? A question many of you probably don't know the answer to. He won the Cuban vote because younger Cubans went out and voted for him. Okay? So anything is possible, especially when you think about the ballot measures that pass in deep red states like Florida. You never know. Perhaps the impossibility of this Florida Senate run and this Senate race will allow Angie Nixon to test out very unique ideas. Instead of trying to pivot to the moderate middle, instead of trying to pivot to the center, maybe she'll double down on some of these policies. She'll double down on her platform and she'll really re-up her progressive bona fides. And then she might shock the world. People forget that Andrew Gillum, who, you know, nowadays we know him as something very different, but Andrew Gillum almost defeated Ron DeSantis. I mean, it was an unbelievably close race. Ron DeSantis almost lost to a guy who's now been in prison multiple times, I think, for doing meth and a bunch of other stuff. But, like, he almost won. That's just Florida for you, though. The issue is that since COVID, the demographics of the state have changed so much. A ton of conservatives and older white people moved to Florida from the Northeast and the Midwest. It's a lot redder than it was pre-COVID, but we can have hope. Yeah, for sure. The DSCC and Chuck Schumer quickly backed progressive Angie Nixon shortly after she defeated Alex Vindman for the Democratic nomination of the Florida Senate primary. Good. But they said that after Abdul, too. And today, Chuck Schumer said, oh, we can win without Abdul. So people also underestimate the potential of Angie Nixon as a black woman. Black women in this country are fucking furious. That's true. It'll be a nationalized race now. Fox News will beat her across the head with Hasan Piker until she's forced to denounce you and DSA. I had never touched that race. I don't know Angie Nixon. She don't know me. Okay. I can be a fan from afar. I don't know her. Never been around her. Don't know anything about her. Just a fan.